In a recent set of videos, we told the stories of Darth Bane and Darth Xena, the first Sith Lords under Bane's rule of two. They were the beginning of a line of Sith that lasted for 1,000 years, ultimately ending with Darth Sidious. Most of the Baneite line is entirely unknown. We only know the names of a few Dark Lords that ruled between the time of Darth Xena and the time of Darth Tenebrous, the master of Darth Plagueis. But there is one interesting story from this long unknown period that we're going to tell today. The story of Xana's apprentice, Darth Cognus, and her first student, who broke away from the Sith to found his own order of Darksiders.
Attention, Sergeant on deck!
For those who need a refresher or haven't seen our videos on Bane and Xena, Darth Cognus was originally an Iktochi assassin known as the Huntress, who used her people's natural gift of precognition to hunt down her targets. These precognitive talents were amplified by the Huntress's untrained force sensitivity, such that she not only received brief glimpses of the future, but full-fledged visions, and sometimes even visions of a target's past. She also had another unique ability, one that she put to use when hunting force sensitives. She could project a sort of force dampening field, masking her presence in the force and hampering the ability of others to use the force. These traits allowed her to be one of the most successful assassins of her time, able to easily hunt and kill Jedi, which she did on several occasions. In 980 BBY, she even managed to capture Darth Bane as part of a contract from the princess of the planet Doan, a contract that would change her life forever. For, at the time, Darth Bane was looking for a new apprentice, and after he escaped the princess's prison, he recruited the Huntress for the job. Eager to learn the ways of the Sith, she took the name Darth Cognus and pledged herself to be Bane's apprentice. But before Cognus's training could begin, Bane was confronted by his current apprentice, Darth Xena, whom Bane wanted Cognus to replace. On Umbria, Xena challenged Bane for the title of Dark Lord, and as Cognus watched from the sidelines, the two Sith fought a duel to the death, from which Darth Xena emerged triumphant. Now the Dark Lord of the Sith, she took Cognus as her apprentice, using the example of her defeat of Darth Bane as Cognus's first lesson. A lesson in the nature of the rule of two. The story of Cognus's training under Darth Xena is entirely unknown, and what Cognus was like as a Sith Lord is also a bit of a mystery. However, based on her existing abilities and the name she chose for herself, it can be surmised that she, like Darth Xena, focused more on arcane, typically mind-affecting force abilities over more overtly aggressive ones. Eventually, Darth Cognus became stronger than her master and killed her, claiming the title of Dark Lord of the Sith for herself. Adhering to the rule of two, Darth Cognus took an apprentice not long after overthrowing Darth Xena. For her apprentice, she selected a three-eyed human mutant who, like herself, had a particular gift for precognition. She named this apprentice Darth Millennial. No, we're not kidding, that's his real name, and trained him in the ways of the Sith, passing on many dark side techniques. Darth Millennial initially showed promise as he was quite skilled in the use of the dark side, but nonetheless, Cognus soon started to question whether he had been the right choice for an apprentice. This wasn't due to any lack of ability on Millennial's part, but rather because he insisted on questioning just about every precept Cognus taught him. In particular, Millennial and Cognus clashed repeatedly over one point of contention: the rule of two. Darth Cognus, like Darth Xena before her, wholeheartedly agreed with Darth Bane's take on Sith philosophy and sought to uphold the rule of two and the Sith grand plan. Darth Millennial, meanwhile, disagreed with the rule of two. He preferred the rule of the strong, the philosophy of Lord Khan, the founderhood of the Brotherhood of Darkness. Despite the many self-evident failings of the Brotherhood and the new Sith, Darth Millennial was of the opinion that there should be many Sith, just as there had been before the 7th Battle of Ruusan. Darth Cognus repeatedly explained to him why he was wrong and why this approach to the Sith was unsustainable, but Millennial refused to listen, insisting on a return to how the Sith had been before Darth Bane came along. Eventually, Darth Cognus got sick of Millennial's nonsense and excommunicated him from the Order of the Sith Lords. She recruited a new apprentice who had more sense and eventually continued the line of Bane according to the rule of two. Darth Millennial, meanwhile, ran away and hid out on Dromund Kaas, recognizing that he didn't stand a chance if he tried to challenge Cognus for the title of Dark Lord. Dromund Kaas had once been the capital of the true Sith Empire, but by Millennial's time, it had been reduced to an uninhabited swamp dotted with ruined cities and abandoned temples. Millennial settled in one of the temples, where he spent years contemplating the dark side and the teachings of Lord Khan. Millennial ultimately syncretized his own beliefs, the teachings of Lord Khan, and the writings of pre-Republic philosophers Dark Ramis and Plaristes to create his own philosophy, the Dark Force religion. Millennial's teachings were based around the idea that the light side and dark side were both illusions, and there was only the Force and those who had the strength of will to use it to the fullest extent. Of course, the tenets of the Dark Force also proclaimed that Darth Millennial was an innately superior being, a supreme prophet chosen by the Force itself to bring the truth to the galaxy. Millennial built a cult around his Dark Force religion, Prophets of the Dark Side, the members of which pretty much worshipped Millennial as the supreme prophet. Most of the members of this cult were, to put it mildly, easily deluded morons, but there were a few who joined Millennial that were genuinely intelligent and strong in the dark side, whom Millennial recruited from other non-Sith orders of Darksiders. The Prophets of the Dark Side focused on, you guessed it, honing their powers of precognition, and they made a great many prophecies over the course of Millennial's lifetime. Darth Millennial eventually died, but the Prophets of the Dark Side outlived him. They remained cloistered in their fortress on Dromund Kaas for the most part, but now and again they ventured out into the greater galaxy, recruiting new disciples and, occasionally, establishing satellite facilities, such as their secondary fortress on Calacar 6, which they established in 100 BBY, and other fortresses on the planet Bostherda. For the most part, the Prophets of the Dark Side were entirely insignificant in the grand scheme of things, until they were discovered by Darth Sidious. Sidious came to Dromund Kaas sometime before the Clone Wars and secretly recruited the Prophets to his cause, using them to foresee threats to his plans. During the Clone Wars, the Prophets of the Dark Side also assisted Asajj Ventress during the Battle of Dromund Kaas, in which their precognitive abilities gave Ventress the information she needed to outmaneuver and defeat the 327th Star Corps. After the rise of the Empire, the Prophets of the Dark Side came out of hiding, joining Sidious's empire as one of many groups of Darkseid-affiliated servants to the Sith. From there, the history of the Prophets of the Dark Side gets extremely messy, and the legacy of Darth Millennial was eventually lost entirely, though his name was invoked by fellow three-eyed human mutant Triculus when he tried to claim the title of Emperor after Sidious's death at Endor. But that's getting pretty deep into the weeds of the expanded universe, so we're going to spare you and end our account of Millennial's legacy there. So that's the tale of Darth Cognus and Darth Millennial, whose disagreements caused the first split in Bane's order of the Sith Lords. But what do you think? Do you agree more with Cognus or Millennial? Feel free to post your thoughts in the comments section below, and as always guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.